Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all new Crossin Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be taking a look at Netflix's She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Now, this series is based on the 80s She-Ra series, which was a spin-off of the He-Man series, and my history with He-Man and She-Ra was, look, I was a huge He-Man fan, and I had all the toys, and even when they started bringing out, the 15th version of He-Man I was collecting. When it came to She-Ra, I did watch the show, but as a young boy, the whole female power thing really didn't mean anything to me. I watched the show because I loved Hordak, the villain, and if you even if you look at the way that the toys were released, the She-Ra figure and the princesses figures were geared towards girls because they had hair you can brush and things like that, but the villains were geared towards the boys, and they were technically under the He-Man line, and they were all designed like He-Man figures, and I collected all those. But this series, which honestly surprised me, they brought this one out first, but then again, they can always bring He-Man out later if they're planning on doing that. Well, this series is on the planet Etheria, and it's about a girl named Adora that is an up-and-coming soldier for the Horde army, and to her knowledge, that's just the way life is. When she goes out and into this mystic forest that blocks the Horde from attacking like the main kingdom, she finds this sword, and the sword ends up being magical, and she ends up meeting two people from the kingdom and realizes that what the Horde and their master Lord Hordak is doing is wrong and evil. Whenever she sees the Horde destroying a village that was described to her as this horrible, terrible rebellion, but they're slaughtering innocent people. So she ends up turning against the Horde, and in turn turning against everything that she ever knew. Now, with this show, I'll come right out and say it, I enjoyed it. In the end, I enjoyed it. It really did connect with me eventually. It took a little bit, though, because I do have some minor complaints about the show, and they're not huge. My first complaint about this show is that some of the characters are downright annoying. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the main trio of Adora, Glimmer, and Bo. I like, on the villain side, I do enjoy Catra, Shadow Weaver especially. And we didn't get a lot of Hordak, but every bit we did get I really enjoyed. I'm not saying I don't like any of the characters. Some of them are really good. When it comes to some of the princesses, and then a couple of the other characters, I don't know. I just found them to kind of be irritating. They're not terrible. They're decent characters. I mean, they're a little simplistic. I mean, there's a lot of the characters are based on elements, so you have a water princess and a plant princess and an ice princess. So they're very simple, and then there's one that's like a tech princess, even though I don't believe she has powers. She's just really smart and is learning how to use this quote unquote magic stuff that the first people on this planet left, which it's really tech. Now, so the characters are fine. I just kind of find them a little annoying. Now, the other thing that bothers me, and like I said, this is very minor, and it's not the only show that does it, and I can't really think of any others off the top of my head that do, and maybe someone out there can explain to me this art style. But now, the art style of the show I like. It's just some of the characters, especially a lot of the younger characters, have this shadow across their nose, like right here. The main characters, especially like Adora and Glimmer and Bo, have it. A lot of the adults don't, but a lot of the younger characters do, and I don't understand. I find it almost distracting. It draws my attention, which you should be paying attention to everything around, and not just that. So like I said, those are minor complaints. The fact that this show can be watched by an older audience and can be watched by kids is a good thing. I mean, it gets a little dark here and there. I believe it's a Y7 show. It does get a little dark, though. I won't say it gets real scary, but it does get serious at some points and gets dark at some points. I would compare the show to anything. It would probably be like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, there's even stuff in this show that it practically just grabbed from Avatar. I mean, you've got the trio of heroes. Bo does not act like he does in the original series. He's basically Sokka from Avatar. Of course, Adora would be your Aang, and Glimmer would be whatever the other girl's name is. It escapes me at the moment. So you have that group, and then on the villain side, you have Catra and Scorpia, and they have a very Zuko and his uncle type of vibe. And of course, Hordak would be considered the Fire Lord. So it picks up some things. You've got the separate kingdoms that aren't working together, and there's just a lot of different things. And then one kingdom wants to take over, which is the Horde, even though they're technically not a kingdom in this. So it feels a lot like Avatar. It's not as good as Avatar, but it is entertaining. They will get your attention, and you will like the characters that you like. Like I said, a lot of the princesses I'm not too fond of, but the characters I really like. I like also that there is not only conflict on the good guy side, because Adora is a former Horde, and a lot of people do trust her right away, but there's a lot of mistrust there, and she feels she has to prove herself and has a lot to make up for. But there's also conflict on the villain side, because Shadow Weaver saw Adora as her own daughter, even though she was kind of an abusive mother. But she still wants Adora home, which of course this rubs Catra the wrong way, because Catra always felt like she was second best to Adora, but now that Catra gets to kind of take over Adora's spot, her and Shadow Weaver kind of go at it, and Shadow Weaver, anytime there's a success from Catra, Shadow Weaver takes the credit, and of course that even puts more hatred in between them, and they're both kind of fighting for the approval of Hordak, and so there's a lot of conflict on both sides, plus the Adora Catra conflict is pretty good. They have this kind of sister thing going on because they grew up together, and Catra in a way is mad at Adora for leaving her behind, and also for just dropping all she ever knew to go with these new friends that she's like, you only known them for like hours or something, like, or days or something like that. So I really like the dynamic between the characters. I really like what they did with She-Ra. While Adora does have these powers, she does not know how to use them. So she has a lot of learning to do. And there's this thing with the She-Ra character, with the, whatever you want to call it, the entity or whatever that she becomes. The people that gave her the power, the beings that gave her the power, want her to drop everything and protect their people. She's in a long line of She-Ra's, kind of another Avatar kind of thing. But they want her to give up everything and follow the path, and it almost honestly kind of feels like Path of a Jedi. But Adora believes in her friends, and she believes she can use the power of She-Ra to her own devices and to protect her friends and to help them stop the Horde, even though these beings want her to use She-Ra for self-preservation. I like that they did kind of what they did with the reboot of He-Man, where Adora and She-Ra aren't just, it's just not a clothes swap like the original series of He-Man and She-Ra, where it's like, come on, how can you not know? People know that Adora is She-Ra. There's no secret identity. It always drove me nuts with She-Ra and He-Man that it's like, come on, He-Man is just Prince Adam with a tan. You know what I mean? It's the Clark Kent, Clark Kent Superman thing. It's, come on, how stupid are people, right? So there's no secret identity, and I like that. And I also liked, like I said, with the reboot, Prince Adam and He-Man were definitely felt like two different people, because Prince Adam was this, scrawny little guy, and He-Man was He-Man, So they kind of did that. When Adora turns to She-Ra, she grows. They said she's like 8 foot tall. They even show it in the animation. You watch her height just go, And so I thought that was kind of cool that they just turn her into this bigger being, and she's just more than human. And I really like that. The battles themselves are pretty good. I have enjoyed the animation and stuff like that. Again, it feels very Avatar. They've definitely updated like the original Horde designs and things like that, and they're fine. I won't say they're better or worse, but they're good. I enjoyed, again, the animation style is great, and I like what they've done. Another thing, this is a quick watch, so if you even want to just give it a chance, it doesn't take very long to watch. It's like 13 episodes, and they're only like 20 some minutes a piece, 24, 25 minutes a piece. So it's a quick watch. I watched it in a couple days, and I've been very busy. So if that tells you, it's a quick watch. Do I think it's worth it? Yes. Am I totally into it? Not yet. I will say at the end of the 13th episode, it felt pretty good. Things were feeling good, and I'm ready to see more. Because there is a lot of unfinished business. This whole season is about one princess from the kingdom, that would be Glimmer, her trying to get the Princess Alliance back together to fight the Horde, and that's kind of what the whole season entails. And by the 13th episode, things come together, and it's just kind of, okay, now we're ready to fight kind of moment. So I really like what's going on. Again, the characters, some of them are just kind of grinded my gears a little bit, just kind of how irritating they are. But if they focus on the main trio, I'm more than all the others. I'm better with that. I'm kind of hoping that it's kind of like He-Man or the original She-Ra, if I remember it right. It was always, you got your main characters, like in He-Man, it was Teela, Man-at-Arms, and He-Man. And then every now and then you just put one or two of the other characters in. You just kind of interchange them here and there. I'm kind of hoping that's what this show does. I don't want every show to have every princess, because I think that would get kind of annoying after a while. But if you just interchange them a little bit, it'll probably be okay. And again, I will definitely watch season 2, and because I kind of want to see where the story of Shadow Weaver versus Catra goes. I want to see more of Hordak. I want to see She-Ra face off against Hordak. Hordak, again, didn't do very much. He's kind of the villain behind the curtain. One thing I'd like to see, though, is if they're... I honestly would love to see them do a He-Man show in this style, and then bring them together. Unlike, say the Marvel stuff with Defenders and everything, this is animation. You can bring that together pretty easy. So do a He-Man show, because they do mention Greyskull by the honor of Greyskull, or for the honor of Greyskull. So Greyskull exists. So we may get He-Man later. Maybe he'll show up on this show and then they'll spin it off to his own show. I don't know, kind of like they did with She-Ra. When they introduced She-Ra, it was in a movie. I remember seeing it in the theater. It was a He-Man movie, and they bring in She-Ra, and she's evil at first and then becomes good. So maybe they'll do that. I would love to see them do that. I know people are not liking that they're changing all their favorite cartoons in these new, younger art styles. I mean, I haven't seen the Thundercats one. But this one I didn't think was too bad. Again, I have my minor issues with it, but I thought it was a decent show that I will definitely give a chance to season 2. Anyway, that's going to be all for this edition of Crossin Streams. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video, and if you have anything to say about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later.